Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. So we have a new listener and she sent us her own confession. If you have any confession that you so wish to share with us, please do not hesitate to reach out. On TikTok, you can just search at Brother Nash, and then you can send me your own confession. So the message reads like this. Hello, how are you? New listener here to your channel, and I have my own confession that I so wish to share with you. Please post for me as anonymous. And I have been staying here in South Africa for the longest time, and I got married here in South Africa. I am from Zambia, but I got married to my South African husband, and we have kids together. My husband does not even know that this is what I did, and I am going to change my own profession so that he won't even suspect a thing. So I came here to South Africa with only one mission and only one mission only, but God's mission was waiting for me on the other side. I came here to Johannesburg to seduce a certain South African pastor. He was quite old, and after seducing him and sleeping with that pastor, I was supposed to get him arrested on the charges of him sleeping with me by force, like to open a rape case against him. I came here at the age of 23. That was when I came here. I was still at a university back home in Zambia, and my own parents, they were both pastors. I was recruited at a very young age when I was only 21. So when I had been given the key of life by my parents, then we went to bed. They did not even know that we had devised a plan, and the plan that we had devised was to sneak out of the house, and we had to go clubbing with my friends. And that was when I met a satanic man who made me to join Satanism, and I ended up losing my virginity in the Indian Ocean, where I was taken in the spiritual realm, but in my own physical body I was transported to the Indian Ocean, where I met a god, or what you call a fallen angel. So I was then sent on a mission to destroy a pastor who was based in KZN, but we were going to target him whenever he would come to Johannesburg. That was where he had his company, and I was supposed to falsely accuse him of rape each and every time when I would try to go to his office to look for a job, since I was unable to enter into their church building. I was unable to do so because at the gate of the church premises, whenever I would try to go to church, so as for their church, they only go to church on Saturday. So I would see an angel that will be standing by the gate. This angel will be burning fire and holding a big sword that will be burning fire. And then that was when a decision was made that I was supposed to attack him at work. And whenever I would go to his offices, I was unable to enter into his offices. This is what I used to do, because his offices, at that point, he was having offices. The offices were close to the mall, so I would go into the parking lot of the mall and leave my car there. I had to do underground parking because that is where I could do the rituals to strengthen myself before going to the offices, because the office, it was just across the mall. And whenever I would have gone to the mall to park with the intentions of going to attack this pastor in his office, like by looking for a job, and after getting a job, then I'll start to weaken him from within the company and then go to his church, eventually start to date him when he is not as powerful as he was said to be. Whenever I would be parked in the underground parking lot at the mall, I will collapse. The moment that I would be holding the clay pot that I always had. It was this small clay pot that I always drove around with, which was black in color, and it was small enough, so much that it would fit underneath my seat, the driver's seat. And this was what I used for rituals, usually slaughtering cats and putting the blood in that small clay pot. And whenever I would take it, I will just collapse too many times that the guards, those ones that will be looking after the cars, they would come and they would knock on my window and they'll be like, "Ma'am, are you okay?" And I'll be like, "Oh, I'm so exhausted. I'm just coming from work right now." But they did not even know that I was a Satanist on a mission. So I felt in that mission. I was born in Lusaka, Zambia, and I was the eldest daughter of my parents, whom I will call Pastor Samuel and Miss Miriam. Those are just names that I gave you, by the way. Our family, they were Christians, and we used to worship the Lord each and every day. There were too many nights when my parents will switch off the TV so that we can just study the Bible. And growing up, all that I had was hymns and Bible stories. Even my mom, she did not even want us to watch cartoons as kids. She just wanted us to read the Bible, to read those storybooks about the Bible. Only after that, then my mom will be like, "Okay, 30 minutes of TV," and then we return back to our bedrooms where she will tell us to keep on reading the Word of God. After school, I would prepare my mom to also select verses that will speak to the congregation, since my mom, she used to preach quite a lot during the week. In the evenings as well, my father will teach us how to memorize scripture. Even when I was a Satanist, you could not even quote the Bible like the way that I used to do it. I enjoyed it when I was at university, and when I would be busy debating with other weak Christians, trying to destroy them, telling them that God does not exist, because I knew like each and every chapter, each and every verse, and those chapters that are open for translation, those are the ones mainly used by people who claim that there is no God. If you watch their debates, you will see that they will always quote these verses that are open for translation, or rather they can be translated when you read the whole chapter, even the whole book. So they like to quote that particular verse always out of context, that God does not exist, or rather God is not divine. So at 20, I began university. I was studying at University of Zambia, and my admission, it was something that was always going to happen, and it did not even feel like divine favor. So usually what happens is when your parents are very prayerful as a child, you start to think that you are untouchable. You do not need to pray, because when I was at campus, even though I joined the Christian Union, but it was only because that is what my parents wanted, and that was what they expected from me. They had been telling me that since high school that I was supposed to lead by example, and I would only do it because I just wanted my parents to be okay. So when your parents are very prayerful, you think that the devil will never touch you. And most of the kids that go rogue and are rebellious, they are the kids of overseers, bishops, of pastors, elders, those people that are very close to God. This makes their own offspring to think that God is just going to be like an automatic thing, like a robot, whereby you do what you want and then you will just say, "But my parents, they are very prayerful, so my life is supposed to be okay," and you do not fight any spiritual battles. That is the biggest mistake that we as parents make as well. We fight a lot of the spiritual battles for our kids as we are being prayerful, such that they do not care anymore about whether they are spiritual battles that are being fought or not. That was what was happening at that time. I was dating a lot of boys when I was in university. This was like my freedom. It was during my second year that everything began to unravel. My parents were so happy with the way that I was studying, always top of the class. Studying so hard made my father to be proud, rarely socializing. My father felt sorry for me, and then he decided that I needed a break. They entrusted me with the key of life, meaning that I was now free and I was 21. It was okay. That was when me and my friends, we went out. And when we went out without my parents ever knowing, we then went to this other bar. It was really nice. It was the first time for me to taste alcohol, because as much as I was being naughty, dating too many guys, I had never drank alcohol in my life, and I made sure that I will never do such a thing. But on that night, my friends kept on telling me that I was supposed to drink with them. We drank and we were so drunk. When I met that guy, he then gave me a necklace, and he told me that with the necklace that he had given me, he was going to find me. I did not even know that this guy, he was a satanic guy. And with time, I then started to understand that some of the things that he would ask for me, it was not normal. Like he would say, are you able to steal like your roommate's used panties? And I was like, it is very difficult, because my roommate, whenever she bath, she always wash her panties. And then it was like, okay, can you steal even those that will be clean? So I would steal panties from him. It started with my roommate, such that the whole dormitory, I would go around and I would steal. And he then gave me a ring, and he said, this ring that I have given you, it will give you the powers to enter into someone's room without them even seeing you. This would happen during the night. I would go into someone's room and I would enter into that room and I will steal their used panties and I would give him. He will come at night and then he will take it. A couple of hours later, I would see a cat by the window, wake up, and then he will give me back that panty, but it will be smelling of herbs, and I would return it back to the room where I would have stolen it. That is how I joined Satanism. And then that was when he told me that he wanted me to go with him to the ocean. And I was like, which ocean are you talking about? And he told me that since I was still a virgin, he was going to take me to the ocean. And there in the ocean, that was where he was going to introduce me to my spirit husband before he can sleep with me, for he was not allowed to sleep with me unless my virginity had been taken away by an angel. So I was taken into the ocean. On that day, he bought for me a very beautiful dress, which was light blue in color, heels, and he bought for me another necklace, which was very beautiful. And he said, when you go to bed, I want you to wear this dress, including the heels. So when I went to bed, I was wearing just like the way that he had told me to wear the clothes, the heels, and the necklace. And then that was when I saw a horse that came and collected me. I had never ridden a horse before, but then this horse flew with me across the sky, and I found myself going deep into the ocean. When I got to the ocean, that was when I was told that I was more than welcome. I waited for my future husband, the spirit husband, and he revealed himself to me. He made love to me as I was placed on top of an altar, and I woke up. When I woke up, that was when I saw that the bed, it was full of blood. Yes, I had been deflowered in the spiritual realm, but it had happened as well in the physical world. And when I told the man who was my handler, because he was an agent responsible for finding girls that they wanted to use for their rituals as well as to go on missions. I was told that I had been given an assignment. There was a South African pastor, Reverend, who I was supposed to come and sleep with. This man, even though he was from KZN, as I told you, he had a business in Johannesburg. The mission was to destroy him, to seduce him, to ensnare him in false accusation, have him arrested for crimes that he did not commit. And I then arrived in South Africa. I received a very beautiful welcome. So this pastor, he was not from this country, he was from Ghana, and I was staying at his house. This man, he also had to sleep with me on top of an altar to strengthen me. He slept with me, his wife and daughters, they were there, including some elite members of his church who knew about this mission. When I was in this country, I was going at a certain university here in Johannesburg, just like a normal foreign student, but no one even knew that there was a mission that had brought me to South Africa. I was being taken good care of. I was even given an apartment, but most of the times I was staying at that Ghanaian pastor's house because he wanted to strengthen me. The problem is that each and every time when I would try to go to his offices, this reverend, the pastor, I would faint. No matter how hard I tried, I would faint until the day when I just picked up a Bible. I had entered into this other supermarket and then I saw that all of the trolleys, they were unavailable. So I was walking around the parking lot. Then I found this other trolley. Inside this trolley, there was a small plastic bag with some fruits. And when I opened it up, there was a Bible that was there. So I wanted to throw away the Bible into the dustbin so that I can continue to go about with my shopping. But then there was another man, an elderly man with his wife. They just saw me when I was picking up the trolley as well as opening up the plastic, including the Bible. They just looked at me as they were busy packing the groceries that they had. I was feeling ashamed to throw away the Bible. So I said, let me push this trolley. Then before I enter into the supermarket, I'll just dump this stupid plastic and the stupid Bible. As I was pushing the trolley, like it was as if everyone was just watching me, and I entered into the shop. Fast forward, after I had done my shopping, there was a little voice that told me to keep that plastic. You know why I kept that plastic bag and I went with it to my place? It was because I was afraid that since I had been seen on the camera, maybe that person will come back looking for the stupid plastic bag with the apples inside and his Bible, and I did not want to be painted as a criminal. That is how the Holy Spirit tricked me into taking that Bible. I did not have a Bible in my room and I was not allowed to have a Bible. I started limiting myself visiting the Ghanaian pastor, and each and every time that I would not go to his house, I felt this little voice getting louder. But when I will go back to the Ghanaian pastor's house, that voice will shut down. Then maybe after a couple of days, it will start to speak with me. So this voice that used to speak with me, it will say, how about you open the Bible? It has been a long time since you last opened the Bible. And it was so sweet, so much that I did spend 2 weeks without going to the pastor's house. His wife would call me, are you doing your work? Are you trying? Are you doing these rituals? Are you drinking the cat's blood? This and that. And I was doing it, but I was making sure that I do it in such a way that I would still hear the little voice, for it was so nice whenever I would hear it in my heart. My heart was so hard at that time, like a rock, so much that I once bumped into a homeless guy when I was returning back from the library late at night. I did not even bother to check if the guy was okay. I only looked and I saw that he was struggling to get up, and I said, he's fine, and I drove off. That is how much evil I was at that time. And then the day when I opened the Bible, this was after another satanic agent had shouted at me, and then I just found the Bible. It was opened when I returned back to the apartment where I was staying. It was Psalms 51, create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. The words burned through my shame. I realized how lost I was. That night, as scary as it was to pray, I prayed, and I was no longer praying. It was a prayer that was filled with fear. And I even saw a skeleton that was standing by the doorway, and it was angry at me. The next morning, I woke up and I rushed to this other pastor, and I told him about my mission. I begged him not to let this story out. I ended up completing my degree, and then at university, that's where I ended up meeting my own husband, who does not even know that his wife, what brought his wife to his country, was a satanic mission. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sister right there. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Let us try to talk with her in the comment section. Yo.